Hello, and welcome to Recapping with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Recapping Podcast.
Also, rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We want to hear your thoughts on the movies and shows we review.
Leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts or our YouTube channel, and we will read them during the show.
Or reach out to us on social media. We love talking all things entertainment and pop culture with you.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you. 'Tis the season, Ashley.
'Tis the season. Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas, guys. Oh my goodness.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas Eve when this pops out.
Yes. Merry Christmas Eve, everyone. We hope that you have a wonderful time, whether you're with your family, friends, by yourself,
living your best life.
We can keep y'all some company as we talk about this TBT, The Family Stone. It is an hour and 43 minutes, rated PG-13. It is a comedy/romance, released December 16th, 2005. So we were young, very young when this came out. Here's a summary. Everett Stone wants to bring his girlfriend Meredith Morton to meet his Bohemian, Connecticut family at Christmas. Is there such thing as Bohemian people that live in Connecticut? Like,
not based off of Stepford Wives, but I've never been.
Straight-laced Meredith, feeling she needs backup, asks her sister Julie to come along, hoping to win the approval of her boyfriend's parents, Sybil and Kelly, and the rest of the family. Instead, Meredith succeeds only in highlighting her uptight personality and making Everett doubt his intentions. Here is the star-studded cast. As Everett, we have Dermot Mulroney, Sarah Jessica Parker as Meredith, Claire Danes as Julie, my fave, Diane Keaton as Sybil, Rachel McAdams as Amy, Craig T. Nelson as Kelly, Luke Wilson as Ben, Tyrone Giordano as Thaddeus, Brian White as Patrick, and Elizabeth Eraser as Susanna. This film was directed and written by Thomas Bezuja. All right, Rotten Tomatoes gave this film critics 52%. Audience, 63%. Google users, 65%. Ashley, what's your grade for The Family Stone?
I'm going to give The Family Stone a B minus. I think it would probably get a C if I did not love the members of the cast as individuals. Diane Keaton, Sarah Jessica Parker, why am I blanking on her name? Rachel McAdams.
Yes.
This is a cast that is beloved by me and many other projects. So to bring them all together is a joy. Do I absolutely love the film itself? I do not love this film. And I'm going to talk about it once we get into the recap of particularly what rubs me the wrong way, which I've talked about in many recaps before. So it's not going to be a shocker to our audience.
I already know what it is.
But I've seen this movie a few times over the years. And I remember the last time I watched it was over someone's shoulder on an airplane, because usually I don't bring things to watch. I'll listen to an audiobook or something.
Yeah.
So PSA, if you are a kind person, please put on your subtitles while you're watching stuff for those of us who may want to watch along over your shoulder. Because my travel buddy who let me watch the movie noticed me watching, put on those subtitles, and we got a chance to enjoy this film together. So is it one of my faves? No, but if it's on and it's available, I'm going to watch it because I really do enjoy this cast. So B minus for me. What about you, Delora?
I gave this film a B minus. So it's funny. I definitely remember seeing this movie, but I realized I hadn't watched it in a long time because when I watched it for the recap, I feel like I had new eyes. And granted, we're talking almost 20 years, So when this movie first came out, I was very young, teenager. So the way I probably viewed it then to how I view it now also made me feel like, oh, this is what happens in this
Mm-hmm.
movie. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, I had no idea. I forgot about the
Ness.
mystery that was looming with everyone's decision. This film had a lot of subtlety to it, also. So, like, it's one of those movies like you can't, if you don't pay attention, you can miss something significant. You know what I mean? And I thought that was also notable in this rewatching for the podcast. So, spoiler alert, Family Stone, aka Sister Swap. Uh, Ashley, we meet Meredith, played by Sarah Jessica Parker. Let's remember where we are in 2005. Sarah Jessica Parker is that girl. Sex in the City is hot. Hot.
What a
Giant,
departure from Carrie Bradshaw.
truly.
Polar opposite.
Polar opposite. She is a straight laced corporate type who's dating Everett, who also is very businessy. Dermot has always been that mysterious, sexy man for me, from My Best Friend's Wedding to The Wedding Date, which is my favorite role of his.
Woo! Still
Woo!
love the wedding date.
Yes, right? Oh, I think he came out around this time too. But when you see Meredith and Everett together, Ashley, do they scream power couple to you, or like what type of vibes they give off in your opinion?
I feel like she's way too awkward to be a part of a power couple. Like she doesn't have the ease of like, you know who comes to mind, and this I think is just because I've gone down some rabbit holes with them recently, is like JFK Jr. and Carolyn.
His wife,
Yeah,
yes.
like she had a style and grace and elegance that fit with him as like a power couple dynamic. And maybe I think of
Yeah.
them too because of
The
the
popular kids
blonde
in
hair,
school.
blonde
Yeah.
hair like Sarah Jessica Parker and dark hair
Yeah.
like Dylan McDermott. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, like yes, they had the swag and the charisma of like a power couple. I don't feel like these two characters had it. Dylan McDermott struck me as he wearing some tidy whities, and Sarah Jessica Parker it looks like she has a stick up her ass. Like there's nothing casual or relaxed about them individually or as a couple when they're first on our screen.
But do you feel like they matched in any way?
Yeah, they matched in both seeming uncomfortable.
We're going home for Christmas. This is Everett. We as an audience, we do not get like a forewarning. Like he doesn't tell us that his family is quote unquote bohemian. As some people may call them, crunchy granola type of people. I didn't really gather that necessarily.
I feel like, are we saying
Um,
that back in the early 2000s because somebody's gay and there's a black family member? And
Thank
is
you.
that
And so
why?
every time I see someone describe it that way, I'm like, who for whom? Like they seem like a white family, a
Because
large white
Luke
family
Wilson wasn't
in
on time
and he smokes pot.
and he smokes a little weed.
Actually, we'll get there. Okay. I can say I've never met a family like this before. But what do you think makes the Stone family chaotic and lovable?
Well, there's quite a few of them. So that always is a factor, right? When there's multiple siblings, multiple significant others, a lot going on to juggle in like under one roof in one house. So it's a lot of personalities.
Yeah.
And then you throw in that, Diane Keaton is always like eccentric to a certain degree. I don't know how else to
Yeah,
put it. Like she's
that's
not
true.
your typical let me bake you a pie mom. So there's that dynamic as well that comes into play with them. And then I don't know, I liked it, but also kind of didn't like the way they all kind of physically, if you know, they bump up against each other throughout the movie. It's always like this
Yeah.
physical level of like comedy between the family.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And I was just like, okay, is this supposed to just show like how close you guys are and the close proximity that you're used to with your family? Maybe that was the gist.
Well, Amy was the first of the family to meet Meredith, and I feel like she kind of set the precedent. Like, because the mom had never met her, but I feel like as soon as Meredith come through the door, everybody was giving her the stink eye. I will say this, Ashley. In the beginning, I don't see why it was warranted.
I
In the
agree.
beginning.
I agree. And I also don't like them running with someone else's first impression. Like
Yes.
that, yeah, that's your daughter, but like
Yes.
the parents should really set the tone for everybody,
Yes.
even more so. I understand everybody's an adult, but the parents should set the tone.
I agree wholeheartedly. So speaking of Diane character being, a cool mom, shout out to another early 2000 movie. She's okay with Everett and Meredith sharing a room. And Meredith was like, no, I could never. Putting Amy out of her room. Amy is over it. Okay. When Meredith was like, I'm sorry. And then when Amy wasn't budging, Meredith was like, that's okay if you don't like me. And she was like, oh, of course you care. That was really funny because the next scene, Everett was packing Meredith's bags for the end. So back to Meredith's awkwardness. Did you feel bad for Meredith, or do you feel like the awkward moments were all her doing?
I don't feel like they were all her doing. I just wish I had more of an idea of what the conversations were prior to this. Like, what preparation was there for you for the personalities that were going to be in this family? She seemed so awkward and off guard by their just presence. And I was like, but aren't you like in business? Why are you so such an
You
awkward people person?
Thank you. Thank you. And I feel like if anything, she's just a fish out of water. Whereas like in business rooms, maybe she's used because in business you tend to have to be stoic. You know what you know, you speak up when you have to. But I don't know, maybe the interpersonal aspect she just was not comfortable with. Cause like I kept thinking about Beyonce's song, Comfortable in My Skin, because I didn't feel that for Meredith at all.
Mm-mm.
But who was intrigued by her? Everett's brother, Ben. I think it was very telling the first time he saw her walking down the stairs. He had a little twinkle in his eye. He went on to say how incredible she was and how she reminded him of his second grade teacher that he had the biggest crush on. Let's talk about these brothers, Ashley. Okay. Would you say that they're total opposites, or do you think they're more similar than we give them credit for?
I feel like the version of Everett we're getting is this attempt at being like an adult, versus probably who he was growing up. Because I feel like Rachel McAdams' character talks about that a little bit, especially with like the take off the tie and all this stuff. Like, I don't feel like this is who he's always been. I just think he's like the golden boy, tries to put up a good front, tries to, walk this straight and narrow path, essentially. And so I'm sure at one point, him and Ben, especially probably as teenagers and early 20s and all this stuff, were much more similar than they are today.
Yeah, I actually have in my notes, who is Everett? I feel like I don't know who he is,
I don't think he
like
knows who he is.
at all, because he came off as blah, and I also have it here is what does he actually see in Meredith? Because like I said, she doesn't seem to trust herself.
I think it's more like they're teammates. That's the way I looked at it. Like when she tells the story of how they met and that they bonded over like her help with like paperwork and stuff. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
it's just a dynamic of like she's a good teammate. She's like a good coworker more than a romantic partner.
And so Everett brings her home because he wants to get his grandmother's ring. And his mom was immediately like, no. Do you think it was kind of her reneging just a little bit? Because he told the story. When you bring home a girl, that you want to marry asked me for the ring. She didn't say based off of my approval. She just said, you can ask for your grandmother's ring when you're ready. But I think one of the most moving parts was when she told him no, he went ring shopping with Thaddeus and he was telling him, don't marry that woman. And he was like, is this because of mom? And he's like, of course, it's about mom.
Rejection is redirection.
Right?
If the
Please
people who
elaborate.
know you best, if your mama, your brother see things that you are either not seeing or don't want to see, you need a course correction. You need to sit with this and think this through. Rejection in his case was redirection. Thank God his family spoke up, because you think about the number of people who they get into a marriage that they probably knew in their gut wasn't right. They get a divorce and they ask later, did
Why do
y'all
y'all
think
say
I shouldn't?
something?
Y'all think I should have or shouldn't have married that person? They like, yeah, nah, I never thought y'all should have got married. Why didn't you ever say nothing to me?
Didn't
Why didn't
say
you
a
ever voice
word.
your concerns
Say
before?
a peep. Okay. I honestly also thought, like, is Amy a hater when it comes to Meredith? Because we didn't get a chance to get too much in Amy's backstory, but she definitely seemed like she was trying to get her stuff together. You know what I mean? She came off a bit sloppy, whereas Meredith is out here doing deals in Asian markets. I don't know.
I don't know, because again, we didn't focus too much outside of the family dynamic. Could be that she's still trying to figure out herself career wise or relationship wise or any of these things. But the irony of that is she seems very solid in knowing who she is versus Meredith, who may have a bunch of stuff going for herself, but has no clue of who she really is or what she
That's
really
true.
needs.
And with that, I'm going to flat out ask you this too. Sybil, was she tough on Meredith, or was she just keeping it real when it came to how she spoke to Everett?
I think she was keeping it real from her perspective. That's for sure. Like, I don't think it was tough. I think, again, you're talking about somebody's mama, right? Like, that's his mama. Okay. She's going to have her opinions no matter what. And just as an audience member, I didn't think they should get married. It did
Well,
not seem like a love match.
the holes started showing itself, okay? First, with her making her Christmas breakfast dish with mushrooms and ever being allergic to it. Sis, what?
These are bare basic things I need you to know about your partner.
Minimal. Minimal.
What can
And
kill him? Noted.
and girl, that dinner was cringe. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into the dinner. Julie shows up because Meredith called. And of course, Everett got a twinkle in his eye. I was like, of course, the younger, blonder sister is turning his eye. Were you like, oh, spaghettios, Ashley?
This is where they losing me, right? This is
Yep.
the moment, guys. I told y'all. I don't like when we have siblings that are in the throes of romantic entanglements. It's not cute. It never has been cute. It never will be cute.
It
Now
is
in
so
this movie,
messy.
it's a square, right?
Yes.
Because we got
Yes.
we got Sarah Jessica Parker and Luke Wilson over here. We got Dylan McDermott and Claire Danes. Sorry, y'all, I'm using their actor names because I don't always remember their character names over
Right.
here. And so I'm like, what are we doing? And it was just so easy for both of them to have their heads turned in this way.
Yes. I'm
Like,
like, where's the commitment?
God forbid I had a sister, and the moment I meet her boyfriend, I have a twinkle and spark for him, and vice versa. Like, I'm questioning my
Oh,
whole life and my character.
oh, it's like if I can't trust you around my family, this is where the mess begins. And the way he was looking at her was like he known her for a million years and was happy to see her. And he had never met her ever before.
And he says her name so many times throughout this movie, y'all. I
You
cannot tell you.
noticed that? Oh my God. It's like it was almost
Julie.
Julie, Julie,
Julie.
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 Just because. But let's talk about this dinner and more specifically, Dad and his husband, Patrick. I'm not gonna lie, my eyes rolled so hard when I watched this the first time, and it still continues to roll when movies decide to put the minorities together. Like sometimes in Hollywood, it's like, here's my black friend who's also gay, who also has a special need. Like, and so with that and Patrick being together, I'm just like, oh, how convenient. This is our meeting our quota. Do you ever get that way with Hollywood and their movies and TV shows?
That's what I said about it's you can tell it's the early 2000s still, that this is where we are in terms of like minorities. You can join, but you're over here. Like you are
You're over
othered.
here.
You're othered
And
in for
mind
this
you,
series, for this film.
Patrick is fine. Okay. And I say that because I think it's interesting. Brian White, that's his name, the actor's name. He'd done a lot of quote unquote black projects, and we knew him very well. I just think it's also interesting that this is his first like mainstream crossover situation, too. I don't know. That's my 2 cents on that. So, what I will say is this conversation about sexuality and its origin was also very interesting because, again, with this being early 2000, our society's conversation overall has shifted to where the conversation isn't nature versus nurture. Like, people are born this way, a la Lady Gaga, right? You know what I mean? Like, at least that's the main consensus of it, you know? But
Is
when she was,
it?
you don't think so?
I think it is for some of us. I think
Oh, what do you
I'm
think?
I think I've been shocked by the mindset that has gotten us to the point we are politically, let alone how people feel
True.
about cultural and societal norms at this point. Like I can say for what I feel and what I think, but
What I thought. That's
I'm
fair.
concerned with now even what to try to say what people I know think or feel, let alone the broader public.
That
So
is
I can
true.
say I know how I feel about it, and I would have kicked Meredith the fuck out of my house if it
Listen,
had
her
been
talking
my
about, don't you
table.
want to have a normal child?
She would have
And
been gone.
is the child black? First of all, she was absolutely pointing to Patrick when she was wanting to say black. I am convinced, whether it was intentional or not,
Okay.
her subconscious was like blackie over there.
Okay.
But yeah, elaborate, Ashley, on this gay conversation at this dinner table.
I mean, I just think she got real comfortable. Like she noted that Julie could ask certain questions that she didn't feel like she probably would not have felt as comfortable diving into this conversation, but Julie had a finesse and a way of asking that was totally different, and she didn't cross a line. Meredith crossed a significant line with the way that she started speaking about the son in this particular situation and children and all these things. And
Right.
I would have kicked her out of my house. I would have been like, beyond the dad saying it's enough, I would be like, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and pack her bags.
And I don't think he should have apologized for it because what she
No,
said was out of line.
bro, she would have been out my house. She would have been out my house.
What do you think it is between Meredith and Julie? Because, like, I feel like Julie is capable of picking up on social cues where Meredith is so caught up in herself and her own ball of anxiety that
Yeah.
she's not aware. I don't know what is it between the two sisters that makes them different in your opinion?
Personality. Personality. I'm assuming Julie may be more extroverted Meredith more introverted, but also probably just family dynamics, maybe because we don't get a lot of backstory again beyond them being sisters. We don't know what their parents are like. We don't know where they
True.
grew up. We don't know
Yeah.
how close they even were growing up beyond Julie dropping everything to come be there for her. So one
Right.
would assume they were close, but I mean, you just never know. Julie could have been more outgoing and popular in school. Maybe Meredith was more the bookworm. Like
Yeah.
I could wax on about what I think, but inevitably, what it comes down to is that Meredith in that moment lost her mind and did not. I even, while I was watching the movie, I was like, just shut up. Like, if nothing
It is
else,
truly that simple.
just
She didn't have
shut
to say nothing else for
up.
the rest of the trip if she wanted to. It was it was insane. So of course she makes it about herself and runs away with Everett's car and crashes it. Ben decides that he's going to be the one to follow after her. And he takes her to the bar. She loosens up. And I always felt like Ben was pretty handsy with her, considering he just met her. Did you pick up on that?
Ben had no sense of boundaries, obviously, with this relationship in general. As soon as he said, it doesn't matter, they don't love each other, he deduced this in 2.5 seconds and said, it's game on.
The fact
They don't
that
love
the
each
fact
other. What
that
difference
Everett's
does it make?
family was out here saying y'all don't love each other, y'all don't belong together, do not marry this woman. Like it is was insane.
But even beyond that,
Insane.
like you have no respect for your brother's relationship. You know, they're in a relationship, whether or not you think they love each other or not. That is his girlfriend. Have some respect.
At least. But the pairings continue because Everett and Julie goes out looking for them and they have this deep conversation about Alaska. Ashley, Everett out here questioning his life in general because of this one interaction with this girl. Uh wait. But can we talk about Ben? So Meredith was fascinated that Ben was like, yeah, I had a dream about you. And like, what did you dream about? You were shoveling snow and I was the snow? Like, sir, what are we talking about?
That's the weed.
This
He
was
was
not
tripping.
profound. It was not. But they found comfort in each other and wake up the next day on Christmas Day. She up in his bed with clothes off. So one of the funnier moments to me in this film is how far her hand went back to slap this man in the face. I cackled so hard. She was like, "What?" Wait, and then the dad is like, "Oh boy, why is Everett's possible fiance in Ben's bedroom?"
Is this the first time this has happened or not?
Listen, it makes it seem like Ben was a rascal growing up or something, right? Oh my gosh. What were some funny moments for you?
Yeah, I was gonna say that was definitely a top one. There's gonna be a scene in the kitchen that gets pretty ridiculous once the ish hits the fan. So that was a funny moment as well.
So let's get into it. Everett is technically over it, especially when he asked Julie to try the ring because the mom conceded. It's also worth noting that the mom is dealing with breast cancer and it has come back. And they were waiting to tell the family about her diagnoses after the holiday. Ashley, do we put too much weight on Christmas in the holiday season?
Probably, but I understand the rationale because you want to leave people with those joyful memories during the holiday season for the most part. I think that was pretty understandable from my perspective. But as a society, probably.
Yeah, but she reluctantly gave that man a ring. She also said you cannot fix it even by getting married. And, Everett's the typical like oldest, like I need to do everything right. And my mom has to be there. And she's like, this isn't going to be fixed because you got married. And honestly, I've heard people talk about that all the time where they felt like, like, oh, I want to do something for my family. And they just cling on to the relationship that they're in. And that might not be the one that, needed to be sought through. But of course, Julie tries on this ring. And like I said, that was one of the times I noticed also Julie, like, where's the ring? And then Julie, and then she walks through the room. I'm like, oh my God. But of course, it's stuck.
Cringe.
Stuck. And I want to know, Ashley, when do you think Meredith knew the writing was on the wall with her relationship with Everett?
Damn sure probably before this trip, if I'm honest. If you think about it, that could be one of the reasons why it was so awkward. Because maybe you didn't realize and didn't take it that seriously to the point of like, oh, that's right. I would be related to y'all too in this dynamic if this were to go through. But for sure, I think after she got like more familiar with Ben, one would think though, the way they reacted to these other siblings, one would think that this was the first real relationship they've ever been in. Like,
right?
they both seem so
Exactly.
goo goo gaga about like having their
Yeah.
heads turned that it's like they were thirsty and they found water in these other potential partners. So I think definitely after the interactions with Ben and after that night, it was like, yeah, because you could tell she was excited by the idea that she had slept with Ben. She was like, I feel so ashamed. But it was
Yeah.
like the shame of like, I've done something naughty and I like
Wait,
it.
wait. So that was another funny part where she's like, I'm not gonna marry you. He's like, I didn't ask you. And then when she was like, I slept with Ben, and then she was like, and he was like, no, you didn't. She's like, does anybody love me? Like, girl, you were missing the point by miles.
Yeah. Yeah. She was having a little bit of a meltdown.
Oh, she was. She was. And it was so funny when things started to finally settle down. And she sees Ben in his room and he was like, can you take this off? You smell like
Smell like puke. Isn't it weird how physically comfortable they got with each other in that moment?
very
I was like,
quickly.
why is he laid down and pulling you closer by the arm and you leaning all into this man? You was just with his brother.
You were just saying that you weren't going to sleep in the same bed as his brother, who was potentially a fiance. That's how, serious that relationship was.
Yeah, I was so lucky this is star-studded cast because this is the trash that I would turn off on any other movie.
Crazy.
It's
And then, of course,
ridiculous.
Everett's out here running after buses for Julie.
And then
Oh,
standing outside the bus, Julie,
yeah, yeah,
Julie,
yeah.
Julie, Julie.
It was like he was in a trance, right? He saw her face, learned her name, and it was all over, apparently.
All I can say is Julie pissed me off coming off that bus just to say, I just wanted to ask you what you was doing for New Year's. For one, did you talk to your sister? Because,
Did the air clear? Like,
bruh.
is the understanding that Everett and Meredith are no longer?
And that she's cool with you going after her 2 second ago ex-boyfriend.
These are facts because
Yo,
I am old school when it comes to girl code, right? I don't even like my friends crushes. Like, that's how deep it got back in the day, right? Let alone date an ex-boyfriend.
tell y'all right now, this ain't no black family. Because ain't no movie about to come out unless it's a ridiculous Tyler Perry film where we
Ah!
swapping significant others like this. This is utterly ridiculous. I mean, it would have been me and my sister throwing blows
Well,
like
that was one of
Everett
my
and Ben.
question though. I was gonna ask, like, how did you feel about how Everett and Ben's relationship with Meredith played out? And then did it make sense or did it feel rushed?
1,000% rushed.
Yes.
What? What are we talking about? This again, had this not been a star-studded cast, this is filth. This is
It is,
ridiculous.
I can't believe that Ashley. So, like, in this rewatching for the podcast, I was like, I really thought I knew what this movie was about. I was thinking, oh, it's just about the ring and Meredith trying to, get the mom to like her. I was like, oh no, no. They're swapping siblings. Like,
I think if they just thought because it was the holidays and there's sentimental moments and there's cancer, that was going to negate the foolishness of the partner swapping that happened. And then y'all all just pop up the next year like nothing ever happened.
One big happily family.
Because Sarah Jessica Parker, hair down now. She got jeans on. She's relaxed. And then she's so
not
excited
wearing a button down.
She's so excited to see her sister and her ex walk through the door.
Let's talk about
out of here, bro.
Dad and Patrick and their black baby.
Now he kissing her on the cheek for greeting. We all good. We all cool.
Like, I know what you taste like, sir. Like, I don't understand. Sorry, is that too much?
No. Those are the facts. If we want to be for real, these are the facts. This is why this is so weird and strange, right? At least on Bridgerton season 2, they kept it cute till they walked down the aisle. So there were no shenanigans going on.
Yeah, because you had to keep your virtue.
You had to keep it cute.
Yeah.
The Family Stone, there was all sorts of things going on. Okay.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine if Sarah Jessica Parker had popped up pregnant? Whose baby is it anyway?
Cousin. So they'll be cousins. They'll be still cousins though, right?
Yeah, but are they gonna be like, so the way I met your father was I was dating your uncle.
Yep.
Came home for Christmas.
Right.
Your aunt showed up. He fell in love. I fell in love.
I do feel like Everett was the determining factor, though. I don't think Ben would have made a move if Everett didn't have his head turned.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, really? You think Ben would have still tried to scoop in?
Ben met her first and did not respect their relationship as soon as he said,
true,
they don't love each other anyway.
True. That's true.
He was waiting on the demise. But my question is it an opposites attracting conversation? Is that the moral of the story? Is that they needed people who brought out differences in them?
I feel like it's more opposite attract for Ben and Meredith, but I think Everett is finding himself and he's more aligned with Julie than he was with Meredith based off of the movie.
And yet we don't know shit about Julie.
We don't, besides
not a thing.
Because he was impressed by her project in Alaska, but did she even like her job?
I tell you what, too, I think one of the reasons why Claire Danes being in this role hits different is because of the real life situation she found herself in with breaking up a relationship back in her day.
Did she break up her? I thought he was free when he got with her.
Not her current husband. The relationship
the previous one.
Prior.
Yep.
Girl.
Yep. But these actresses are used to this. I mean, it's a Tuesday. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying.
First of all, this new generation ain't got nothing on our OGs. Like, if y'all go back to Golden Era Hollywood.
Oh, no. Yeah, even the further back.
Oh, girl.
Elizabeth Taylor
takes the cake.
Debbie Reynolds.
Elizabeth Taylor takes the cake. I just watched an Elizabeth Taylor documentary. I was like, girl.
So true. All right, Ashley, to your point, the next year, they're one big happy family minus one. Unfortunately, Sybil did not make it, but she was honored. Did you feel like the movie wrapped up nicely, or did you want more?
I was done. I was good.
I'm sick of these people.
Yeah. I will say probably the most touching part of it was the gift of the picture that ended up being Rachel McAdams in her belly.
But I feel like that showed that Meredith does have a heart.
For
You know what I
sure.
mean?
For sure. But it was just touching because it even touched Rachel McAdams, Amy, that character who was so anti Meredith. It even
Yeah.
touched her because again, the dynamics of knowing your mom's sick and this and that. And Rachel McAdams, when she tears up, I tear up. So that was an
I mean,
emotional scene.
again, to put things in perspective, Sis was on fire. We had Mean Girls. We had
The
The Notebook.
Notebook.
It was a time, y'all. A
Yeah.
time.
The original wife from the Time Traveler's wife who made me
Yes.
bawl my eyes out.
Yes. Yes. Speaking of Theo, last week when we did our headlines and hot topics, I talked about The Gentleman being one of my favorites of this year. I'm happy that The Gentleman's hit because I did watch The Time Traveler's Wife, the HBO series, but I'm always rooting for him. So they only got one season. Any final thoughts, Ashley?
Messy, messy, messy. I guess the holidays can't all be cute, right? Family dynamics are such where things happen, shenanigans ensue, and I guess this was just the white mess version of that. So,
Yeah, Family Stone was definitely interesting. I love the play on the name because if again, I thought it was about the ring, but their last name is Stone. So, star-studded cast. It was a good time. It did well when it came out. That's all I have today, Ashley. Time for hidden gems.
all right, my hidden gem I already talked about as a part of our year in review. It is Usher past, present, and future tour. I don't know if he's going to release like a special. Hope he does. But I definitely feel like, at the stage and era that Usher's in, where he has such a long runway still ahead of him and such a long runway behind him, it was fitting that this one kind of delves into all the hit classics, from back in the 90s when he first started to Confessions and 8701 is actually my favorite Usher
You make me
album.
wanna.
But all of the 2000s and then kind of where we are today with this iteration of Usher music that we have. I loved his latest album that he dropped. He's been so white hot with his Super Bowl performance, with his residency in Vegas, with the halftime show, and now with this tour. And Usher is still out here ushering. He still sounds great. He looks great. He the physique is physiquing in this show.
Yes.
The viral cherry moment is a thing for sure. And overall, it was just such a great experience to get to go see one of our living legends, in my opinion, in entertainment, who came up in a time where that level of professionalism, that level of like excellence in your craft, like Usher is one of those where even when he's like walking, he's dancing and walking. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a showman. Every moment of the show is a moment of the show, if y'all know what I mean.
I
And
love it.
that is from an era that it feels bygone
Yeah.
for a lot of modern day entertainment and entertainers. And so Usher was just on my list of those people that I just had to see before it was too late to get a chance to see. So Usher, past, present, and future tour. Shut it down, Usher. Thank you so much. I was, as Beyonce always says, are you ready to be entertained? Yes, I
Love
was. Thank
that.
you. Shut it down. All right, Delora, what you got?
In reminiscent of our year in episode, I have three categories I like to touch upon, and I like to talk about my top of this year. So, the three categories I have is top of music, books, and podcasts. So starting with music, I'll just go with albums. Cowboy Carter, Short and Sweet, Sabrina Carpenter, and Hit Me Hard and Soft, Billie Eilish. I didn't realize how much I listened to Billie Eilish this year until my rap. I was like, she be vibing and I'll be right there with her apparently.
Yes, she do. Yes, she do. My favorite of her generation right now.
Yes, easily. Top books. So, I'm a book girly. The Kingmaker series by Kennedy Ryan. I talked about this earlier in the year as my hidden gem. Want to reiterate it. One of my favorite authors. Also, super sweet. I've interacted with her online before. But again, the series is romance, it's suspense, there's a cliffhanger. Loved it, loved it, loved it. My second book, A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle J. Jensen. This was new. I love a good fantasy moment. Ashley knows this. We both love a good fantasy moment. This was based off of Nordic mythology. And I'm here. I love Greek mythology, Nordic mythology, anything Irish, Scottish, African. Like, I love a good mythology situation. And this book was so fascinating. It was the first book of the series. And I'm excited for the second book in 2025. And then the series called Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This is another fantasy series. If you like A Court of Thorns and Roses, this is dealing with Fae, and the pacing of this book is so good. And the girl is crazy. She's not demure like Farah. She's a little bit rowdy, but it is an adventure. I've read the first three books. There's one more coming out next year. Again, looking forward to that for 2025. And then favorite podcasts. Balanced Black Girl, love. Naked Beauty, love. And Diary of a CEO. Those podcasts I just highly recommend any episode. You'll probably get something out of it, especially Diary of CEO. He be going in, but those episodes are long. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight those items as we close out 2024.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Delora. And guys, thank you for a wonderful year. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for sticking with us for multiple recaps as we went over the benchmark of 300 episodes, milestone.
Yeah.
It's been a fantastic time. We look forward to much, much more come 2025. Thank you so much. Enjoy your holiday season. Please share this episode with everybody you know. We will be back in the new year. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year in the meantime.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Please come back and join us. But in the meantime, as always, be blessed.
Bye.